hear me?
For fuck's sake. Isn't anything private anymore?
This is Lost Ember, developed and published by Moon Eye Studios. Lost Ember is a Kickstarted video game that I backed fucking years ago. I keep getting reminded by email updates every now and again. Oh yeah, that exists. But the game's finally out now. I've had a chance to play it. It's an adventure game. You take on the role of this wolf who is been reincarnated back into the world because they were not allowed into heaven due to past sins, I guess. And your chance at redemption is to ferry this little soul that's tagging along behind you, the Lost Ember, the titular Lost Ember, to take it to heaven, I guess, because it's a place on Earth. That's the song, I think. Shit, I hope I don't get copyrighted for that. Anyway, and you do this by just walking as a wolf, or running as a wolf, or possessing other animals. So you can possess a lot of different animals. You can possess a wombat, which is probably the funniest one because they're so dumb and pudgy and they can roll into a ball and roll down hills and stuff and launch themselves. It's pretty funny. But there's other things. You can be fish, you can be birds, you can be a worm at one stage. I don't know, I think that was just a joke animal. You can be this kind of turtle / mole sand shrew looking thing that digs. The different animals all have different kind of abilities that they bring to the game world, so you can use them to get past obstacles. Like the wombat, for instance, is kind of small, so you can fit through small gaps. The turtle sand shrew looking mole thing can dig, so he can get underneath walls and stuff like that. Or you could be a big bison, and bison can just run straight through walls and just bash them down and that kind of thing. And birds can fly, obviously, and break the whole game because they're a little overpowered. As man has said since he first looked up and saw the birds are OP, please nerf. It's a fun little game. I mean, it's kind of your general journey type game. There's no like combat or anything like that. It's just getting through the different landscapes that the game gives you. You know, you're not necessarily told how to do anything. You know, there's a gap in front of you. How you want to get across that gap is up to you. You could just pick up a bird and just fly over everything, or you know, maybe there's a river or something. You can possess a fish and swim, or you know, whatever, something like that. The story kind of just does flashbacks of your previous life and why maybe you weren't allowed into heaven. It's not called heaven, by the way. I forget what it's actually called, so I'm just going to say that because it's basically the same thing. It's not great, story-wise. I think it's down to the voice acting, and there's nothing wrong with the voice acting, it's just the accent doesn't go with the game world. So it's kind of jarring. It's like this British accent, and the game world is kind of South American inspired, so I don't know, it just doesn't really gel to me. I enjoyed the game overall. It's a bit glitchy, and the story was a bit, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. I'm not entirely sure what the point they were trying to bring across was, but the gameplay is fun, and you get to possess a wombat and just roll about the place, which is fucking hilarious. Lost Ember is on PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and Windows PC, and I believe it is currently 30 of your currency of choice because, you know, what are exchange rates? This is Death Stranding, developed by Kojima Productions and published by Sony and 505 Games. So Death Stranding is the first game by Kojima since leaving Konami and leaving the Metal Gear Solid franchise. You play Norman Reedus, who's called Sam in the game, and he is a courier or a porter or a postman or whatever way you want to put it, but basically he picks up cargo packages and he delivers them from point A to point B. Problem is, the world he currently inhabits has been completely shattered by this crossing over event that's essentially brought the dead into the world, and it's kind of fucked everything up. So getting cargo from point A to point B has become hazardous and very difficult to perform, so not many people do it. So while Sam is delivering cargo, he has to contend with things like the rain, which is now called timefall. And it's called timefall because if the raindrops, which are not exactly water anymore, if they hit something, they will cause it to deteriorate at an accelerated rate. So they basically age things they touch. So they'll age the cargo, or they'll age the plant life that they touch, or they'll age you if they touch your skin. So if they touch your hands or something, the drops where they land will age your skin and things like that. So that's not fun. You don't want to be out in the rain. And then additionally, there are these monster type things called BTs that are somewhat invisible, but if they find you, they'll do things to you, like eat you and capture you and all that jazz, and cause game overs, which obviously you don't want either. So there's a bit of a stealth element to that as well. Delivering the cargo is not quite as simple as just walking from point A to point B. I mean, I could be a bit reductionist and just say that's pretty much how it works, but you have to take things into account like your encumbrance. You can only carry so much. The weight distribution itself, because you need to keep your balance while you're walking up inclines and climbing and that kind of stuff. And then the route you decide to take. So if you want to take a kind of flat plane so you can carry more stuff, that way you don't need to worry about your balance because you're unlikely to fall over on a flat plane, but the route mightn't allow that because it'll take you through BT territory or something like that. You might want to go over mountains because they don't seem to like mountains that much, but in that case you won't be able to carry as much because you'll be falling over all the time. And then if you want to carry specific equipment with you as well, like ladders and ropes and that kind of stuff, because it takes up space, if you like, in your encumbrance, so it doesn't leave room for cargo. Delivering cargo gets you things like reputation and likes, like straight up social media type likes. The more likes you get, the more affiliated you become with the distribution areas or the places you're delivering, but they also improve your stats. Just straight up, you can carry more stuff if you get more likes, that kind of thing. Story-wise, Sam is charged by the last president of the United States to reconnect all the cities of the country. So he starts off on the East Coast and he has to spread the message, reconnect up the chiral network, as it's called, to all the cities that are willing to join their new coalition. And that is pretty much the gist of the game. You just have to do that. You go to the different cities and you say, hey, you want to join up the network? And they're like, yeah, sick, sounds good. Or they might be, no, that's dumb. Anyway, either way, that's kind of your task, and you deliver cargo while you're doing it so you can improve your equipment along the way. The chiral network kind of feeds into the game's somewhat asymmetric multiplayer kind of thing. So the first time you enter an area, you won't be connected to the chiral network because that's your job. Your job is to go there and connect it up. So it's not there at the beginning. So you have to deal with the route by yourself, placing ladders, placing ropes, or just finding a good route around. Maybe you don't need any of that. You can build like towers to help you see further out, or you can straight up build roads if you're high enough level, and so on. But once you connect up the chiral network, you'll have access to other players' constructs that they might have made. So other players may have set ladders or ropes or towers and so on in the same area. They might be in good positions as well. They might be in bad positions, who knows. But you have access to their stuff as well, which is kind of interesting, and you can give them likes to help them out too, which is kind of funny. Honestly, I don't know what to make of Death Stranding. I am enjoying it. I do like these kind of chill, relaxing games, even though the story itself is quite tense. Encounters with the BTs can be quite tense because it is straight up a stealth thing with invisible enemies, so that can be a bit daunting. I know there is somewhat a combat option for them. I don't think I have gotten far enough to open up that avenue exactly. I'm going to stick with it. I might have more to say about it in next month's video or subsequently. I will say that anyone who's coming into it from Kojima's earlier work, like Metal Gear, combat, stealth, that kind of stuff, it's not here. It's a much simpler type of game, gameplay wise. You'd probably be coming into it more for its story and its narrative that I don't really want to give away. This is a kind of shitty world that they're in, and they're just trying to make it work, and I'm not far enough in to really say anything more about it. But check it out if you want. It is currently exclusive to the PS4, but there is plans to bring it to PC next year at some stage. This is Luigi's Mansion 3, developed by Next Level Games and published by Nintendo. Luigi's Mansion sees the return of Luigi doing some ghost busting, this time in a hotel, which isn't a mansion at all, but I guess they wanted to keep the name series, or maybe it is a mansion, someone just lives there and rents their rooms out, I don't know. Anyway, it's a big hotel now with ghosts, and Luigi, who's scared of ghosts, but also uses his ghost vacuum thing to beat them up and slam them about the place, and then suck them up into his vacuum thing. Like Ghostbusters, sort of, I guess. Anyway, the game sees you, Luigi, Mario, Peach, and the Toads, various numbers of Toads, invited to the hotel, and maybe these are, mysterious circumstances, and not everything is as it seems. Ooh, spooky. King Boo imprisons everybody except you. I mean, he was trying to imprison you, but you escaped because you're Luigi and you're better than Mario. Fuck you, Mario. You get your ghost vacuum somehow. Plot, doesn't matter. And you are led by the Polterpup ghost and Dr. Egad to rescue Mario and Peach and so on, because someone's got to do it, and I guess Luigi is the only person left to do it, so here's what he's going to do. And you do this by traveling the floors of the hotel, basically. Every boss you defeat drops a new elevator button to take you to different floors in the hotel. You're not taken linearly, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. You do get a little bit bounced all over the place. So each floor has its own kind of unique thing. Some of them are standard, like hotel room floors. Some of them are, this is the dining room. Some of them are, this is the games room. Or some of them are, this is the shops and stuff like that. So they can vary it up a little bit. Some of them get a little bit crazier later on. If you're new to the kind of Luigi's Mansion kind of thing like I am, it's not your typical Mario game. You're not jumping on Goombas and like pirouettes and like fantastic feats of gymnastic skill that a portly Italian plumber really shouldn't be able to pull off. Luigi's Mansion is a good bit more slow-paced. It's focused around stunning ghosts and then sucking them up into your vacuum, and they take a little bit longer to do it if they're bigger or whatever like that. You can slam them about the environment to kind of weaken them and that kind of thing. And some of them have gimmicks. Some of them they wear sunglasses, so you need to take their sunglasses off first somehow before you can stun them. Or some of them are too fat, so you need to go around behind them before you can get them into the vacuum, and so on. I'm actually really, really enjoying Luigi's Mansion. The only point of contention I have with it is controlling the poltergust, the ghost vacuum thing, is a bit weird. You're using, like, the left analog stick will move. I'm using the Pro controller for this, but I assume it's the same for the other one. The left analog stick will move Luigi around the place, and the right analog stick will move the poltergust, but it's relative to Luigi's position, the way he's facing. So if I press right on the analog stick and Luigi is facing left, the poltergust will move into the screen rather than moving to the right of the screen, which is what I expected from like a twin stick shooter kind of thing. It's a bit weird to get used to. And then additionally, the poltergust goes up and down, so it's got that additional problem to it as well. Motion controls are in it. As far as I can tell, they cannot be disabled, so have fun with that. There are some various settings you can have to change the way the vacuum aims, so I will play around with them. But right now, that's kind of the only thing I have an issue with, because the rest of it is just fun, polished Nintendo stuff in the Mario universe. It's a lot of fun. Characters are really funny and colorful and friendly, even when they're trying to spook you. So I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Luigi's Mansion 3 is currently exclusive, and I imagine it will remain exclusive to the Nintendo Switch, and is a full-priced title because Nintendo.
Hey, bro. Oh, doggy.
This is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by EA. Fallen Order takes place between Episode 3 and Episode 4, like pretty much everything in additional Star Wars universe. You play Cal Kestis, who is a fugitive renegade Padawan, Jedi apprentice, who's living out his life salvaging scrap, but he makes the mistake of trying to rescue one of his friends by using the Force, and that sets, the entire Empire against him by the looks of things anyway. He is luckily rescued just as everything seems like it's gonna go badly, and he gets to embark on this brave new quest to, bring back the Jedi or some shit. I don't know. You know what happens in Episode 4 anyway, so clearly he's not successful. Anyway, gameplay. It's a video game, so gameplay-wise, Fallen Order kind of plays like a mix of Uncharted and Sekiro. So Uncharted-wise is kind of just a platforming. There's like jumping and climbing up walls and shimmying and wall jumps, and they've got wall runs as well, which is pretty cool. And later on, you'll get stuff like double jumps and shit like that. Combat-wise, I actually kind of like their approach, mostly because I really like Sekiro, but I've never liked the approach that the Star Wars games usually take, in that, like, the lightsaber is meant to just cut straight through people, right? That's kind of the whole deal. So once you get one swing in, they should die. That's the way it should work. And they kind of go with that in this, in that your lightsaber is pretty deadly, but so are the enemies you fight. You're going to be a little squishier than you might be used to, or what that you might be expecting. So in the way that Sekiro is punishing if you make mistakes, it's not quite as punishing, but you are going to be focused on timing, waiting for openings, battering down enemy guards so that they leave themselves open for attacks, and then usually your lightsaber will either kill them outright or do a considerable amount of damage. You have additional things like you can block, so you can block their attacks. You can block laser bolts as well. It'll eat up your stamina, or it'll eat up your guard meter. You can just-in-time parries, so if you're fighting a melee opponent, a just-in-time parry will definitely knock them open, so you can finish them off quickly. But you can also just-in-time parry laser bolts, and that will just fire the laser bolt or reflect the bolt straight back at the enemy, and usually that kills them too. So you have this nice juggling act of dealing with ranged attackers and trying to blast their bolts back at them, and then also dealing with melee attackers, just parrying them or just staying out of range and that kind of thing. So it's fun. Like, combat can be kind of frantic. You are fighting more enemies than you would normally be fighting in something like Sekiro, and Sekiro itself kind of played a bit like Dark Souls. But it's not as punishing as those games either, so it's a bit friendlier. The idea that the developers wanted is that you would essentially deal with situations with the Force and your lightsaber. So you're not going to be seeing like stealth gameplay. You know, you're not going to be able to just... You're basically not going to be able to avoid combat like you could in Sekiro, or, you know, sneak up behind people and like drop off the roof and stuff like that. You could get like a death from above attack, but then you're into pretty much open combat with everybody after that. I am enjoying it a lot though. Exploration wise, you know, you've got your different things like jumps, double jumps, wall runs, climbing, that kind of stuff, zip lines, all that jazz, and you bounce around different worlds in the Star Wars universe. Some you might be familiar with, some you might not be. Environments look really fun. They're intricate, you know, they're not too linear, straightforward. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm not very far in. Like, I haven't actually unlocked any new Force powers, and I know they're there. Right now I just have Force stasis, so I can slow enemies down, or I can pause laser bolts in the air and that kind of thing. But I know you later on you get like Force pull and Force push and stuff like that, so I'm looking forward to weaving them into combat. Again, not a whole lot of time spent on this. Death Stranding and this and Luigi's Mansion are kind of large games, so I kind of have to give them all just a little bit of time. Hopefully we'll have more to say about this later on. But I'm enjoying what I'm seeing of it so far. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is available on PS4, Xbox One, and Windows PC.
I'm hungry. It's reducing. An intruder! Let's get him. I think I'm done. Chase him! He's hit! I think he's... An ally down. Drop your blaster. I got it.
Well done.
Those were some of the games I played for November 2019. Lost Ember is a good, relaxing kind of game. A little bit glitchy, and I'm not entirely sure what the story was about, but I enjoyed it overall. Death Stranding, I'm still so early in that I can't really say what I think about it or not. I mean, it's still a kind of, I really classify it more as a chill out kind of game and an action-packed kind of thing. So something to throw on when you want to relax. Luigi's Mansion 3 is just fun. You know, it's bright, it's colorful, it's friendly, even if it's supposed to... I'm not sure it's supposed to be spooky exactly, but it's a fun and friendly thing to play. Jedi Fallen Order is kind of typical AAA fare. I do enjoy the combat is a lot of fun. It's very well polished though, like very high standard, and I am a big Star Wars fan anyway, so this works for me. Coming up next month, it's December, so not too many games actually coming out, but there's a couple. So we're going to look at Arise, a simple story, which is about a Viking who dies and then has to deal with Valhalla. I don't know, it looks like it's another kind of journey-ish adventure kind of thing. Then we've got Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York, which is a kind of visual novel thing based on the tabletop game Vampire the Masquerade, and somewhat based off the video game Vampire the Masquerade. We'll see. I've heard very little about it, so I'm not expecting anything amazing, but, you know, vampires. And then the Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, or Remaster, or whatever it is. Neverwinter Nights was a big CRPG of D&D back in the day. I played it on PC. It was my go-to game for a very long time. So I'm interested to see what's changed, or, you know, what updates they've made and things like that. So we'll have a look at that too. Otherwise, thanks for watching my video. Hopefully see you guys next month, and also into the new year. I'm going to try to change up a few things on the channel. This video style isn't really going anywhere, but I'm hoping to get back into my LPs and stuff like that. So stick around, please. See you next time.
Oh no. Bandits. Wait. That's Kalani. Wolf, that's her. I mean you again.